Welcome Justice Yvonne Mokgoro to the African Women in Law Legacy Project. It is an honor to have you with us here today to share your extraordinary life story and your groundbreaking accomplishments. South Africa is a place very close to my heart, rising from apartheid to Nelson Mandela and independence, a story I know well, and you were a part of that great liberating story and that struggle. One of the great honors of my life was to meet one of your colleagues on the South African Constitutional Court, Albie Sachs, where we worked together to do an induction for the new Supreme Court in Kenya several years ago. Welcome, Justice.
Thank you so much, Judge Williams. It is my honor really to be interacting with you today and with the audience. Thank you for inviting me.
Though you had great support from your husband, from your family, and so those relationships, I mean, when you walked across the stage to get your LLM, even though your husband had been arrested, you had been assured by Nelson Mandela, I think, that he would be able to make sure your husband was okay and that it was more important that you finish your studies. That kind of who could have a mentor like Nelson Mandela to encourage you in what you're doing, but it takes a village. It takes everyone to pull together to push for women and for women to get access the way we are entitled to get that access. In terms of thinking about your legacy, I think I know the answer to this question because you've been so open about what your quest is. How do you want to be remembered when all is said and done, that your contribution was to society and to women and children and those who don't have a voice?
I think it would be sufficient for me if I am known as a contributor and not a creator of a caring society. A caring society where social justice is not the prerogative of a few, but where social justice is the entitlement of even the most vulnerable. Somebody, a woman who fought all her life to contribute to changing the thinking of society as a whole about the place of women in society. A woman who made contributions, not only in her profession, but also in her everyday life, in her interaction with others, to ensure that women deserve, or women get the justice that they deserve in the context of society and with their children. Somebody who fought all her life to ensure that society as a whole takes responsibility for the unfortunate construction of women's inferiority within society. And somebody who fought all her life to get society to deconstruct the injustice that they have subjected women. Just the contribution that I made, it would be good.
And that contribution that you've made over the course of your career is something you've never given up on. I mean, you just keep pushing forward no matter what the price, no matter what the sacrifice. And don't you feel sometimes when you get discouraged or there's a roadblock, you think about your mom washing those clothes or your dad being a laborer and saying, if they could do this, if they did that all their lives to help us, then we can do whatever we need to do. Do you have that feeling? Do you go back to that sometime? I know that's what I do with my parents.
Yes, absolutely. And absolutely. But you find that even in this life, there are still those moms and dads you see every day, you come across every day, who remind you of the efforts, the hard work that your parents had to go through in order to attain or to get you to attain what you desire in life. And when we struggle for justice, and particularly today, we struggle for social justice, until that is attained, the struggle must go on. And as my parents always said, they will do the best they can in order for us to attain the best we want or the best we can. And that gets you, that drives you, that is what drives you to continue to struggle for social justice and equality. And we know that it can never be completely attained. But as I always say, that part of our lives is a work in progress. Mm-hmm. And we make our contributions in order to proceed with the work in progress. And one day, if we are not here, I hope we would have sufficiently handed down the baton to the younger generation so that they can continue and proceed with the work in progress.
And there is, from your life, there are times to march, there are times to write, there are times to teach, because that's another thing that was really, I think, in your heart. You have been an educator, you know, my undergraduate degree and my master's degree were in education before I went to law. And when I was trying to decide whether to change, it hit me that teachers teach and lawyers teach. Teachers counsel and lawyers counsel. Teachers have to break down information and lawyers have to break down information. And so you've really been a teacher all your life, trying to build on that legacy to prepare the others to march forward. And I'd just like to close with this in terms of the time to protest, the time to get angry. And of course, you've been angry about apartheid. You've been angry about how women have been treated. You've been angry about those who don't have a voice. But you've learned how to channel that anger. So perhaps you could speak to that. How do you, in these days, when there's a lot of anger in both of our societies, how do you deal with that? And how do you deal with the pushback of men or those who would try to demean women or block women or stop women?
It is right to be angry. Anger is a human emotion. It is right to be angry. It is good to be angry if it propels you to correct that which makes you angry. It is good, it is right to be angry if it is justified, as long as you direct the anger into constructing the opposite or correcting that source of your anger. It is a human emotion which, if directed to construct rather than destroy, it will serve humanity so much better. And if you use your anger to correct the injustices, then hopefully one day we will find no need to continue to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need to work towards or against that which makes us angry. Deconstruct the sources of our anger in order for us to construct a better world, not only for us, but for generations to come. Anger is necessary sometimes, in particular if it propels you to be creative and deconstruct the source of the anger in a way that creates a better life for everybody.
And as you have been angry in your life, tied into that is your dream. You have never given up the dream of justice and the hopes that you have for change, right?
Absolutely important. As long as the need for change is there, I think that is what motivates us to work towards and even fight for change. And you change not only your own life, if you have the power, you use your power, you use your voice, you use your strength in order to make a difference in the lives of others. And making a difference in the lives of others is probably, depending on what it is, the best way to make a change for society. In the community where I live, where tradition is still highly prized, the idea of Ubuntu, which is the notion that I am because you are, and I cannot be without you, means that you don't just work for your own well-being. You are sometimes expected, if you are in a powerful position, if you have a voice, a big voice which reverberates throughout society, it is expected that you use that voice not only for your own well-being, but for the well-being of others, because without others, you cannot be. And you cannot be if you want to benefit all by yourself. You cannot benefit by yourself when you live in a society of vulnerable people. You use your strength, you use your voice, you use your power in order to make a better life for those who you share your community with. And that's the power of Ubuntu in the culture and in the society where we come from as Black people in the whole continent, not only in South Africa. Children are not only our own children, they are children of society. And that is why you always hear people in the continent say, a child is not only the child of a mother and the father, but it is a child of the community. And we all raise a child as a child of the community.
It is, to me, the critical piece of how you change a society, always thinking of others and what you can do, whatever skills you have, because a lot of our audience will be lawyers or judges, but everyday people can make a difference in the life of anyone in their village. You know, to see someone hungry and to provide a meal, or to see a child that needs some direction, or to do something at the school to volunteer, or to go to the clinic and volunteer, or do things in your church that can make a difference. There are just so many ways, and no one can really pick for you what is the best way. You have to look at what's going on in your own life and figure out how you can give back. But we all have that obligation to give back, and certainly Justice, you are in a really words, I am without words when I try to describe how your whole life has been, and that even now, when you could sit back and relax and enjoy all that you have done, you continue to keep marching and stepping forward. And so I thank you so much for sharing your life story, for sharing the lessons that you've learned with all of us. Their words and your actions will remain with us and will guide us as we all work toward equal justice and giving voice to the voiceless. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge Williams. It was a pleasure talking to you.
The pleasure was all mine.